No,
Morrow.
no one will be Morrow. Morrow was one of a kind.
Facts.
The Mamma
Facts.
Mias and the
Oh yeah, yes.
just like the clips they would show of Morrow, he would start standing up and like just screaming. You're like, God, this guy really loves his job.
It's a fan, man. It was like if one of us got to announce. Like it's not just
or
some dude they're paying to be a character.
they let
Like,
us book the territory.
oh, exactly. There you
Huh?
go.
Huh?
Plug.
Well, speaking of people that love their job, Cody Rhodes loves his job right now.
There we go. I like
He
that
he
transition.
he loves it. You can
Yes,
tell.
he does. Yeah, his little
He's
backstage.
playing up all of it. It's
I love
great.
his interviews, man. Yeah, he's very much he reminds me of a Nickelodeon game show host from back in the day. Like he's just cheesy. He's saying all these like dad jokes to like the interviewers. He's just
Hmm.
happy to be back. It seems like,
Oh
man.
yeah.
It's cool to see. It's cool to see he's this happy because I don't think there was none of this in AEW. He was all business and trying to justify his personal decisions.
So I'm gonna explain like his whole leaving and coming back. Cody is your ex girlfriend that you left because you didn't think she was that bad of a bitch.
Mm,
Cody spent the last 6 years trying to prove to his ex that he is in fact a bad bitch,
yep.
and now he's getting validation,
Mm-hmm.
and you can see it when he walks out. He's happy. He
Yes.
gets the validation that WWE finally sees him the way he always saw himself
Mm-hmm.
as a big fucking deal.
Yep.
Like, and it's great. Like,
It is
I'm,
great to see. And that's a great analogy too. Because we all have had that one that you just was like, I can't. It can't go past this point. Like you're mid. I'm sorry. You're not a main. You're not. You're not selling tickets. You're not selling out WrestleMania, man. I'm sorry. Not right now, at least.
you're
So
not Jordan 11.
nah, man. You like them 19s that nobody talks about. Them
Whew.
terrible, terrible Jordans. But anyways, yes, he went and took that criticism constructively, like you said a couple weeks ago, put it all on the line, everything to do and get help be a pillar of AEW, um, and got that help become a start or help that company get started. Nobody can take that away from him, no matter what he does in the rest of his career.
Mm-hmm.
So for him to recognize that chip that he created for himself, take said chip, put it on the table against WWE. WWE's like, not only we like that chip, we'll take all your chips. You're good, man. You don't see that in wrestling, especially with the evil empire. Them
Yeah.
taking anybody back to this degree, but I think it's more or less the status he held there. Like I don't see them giving any sort of like, let's say if Miro wanted to come back and be Rusev, no, we know it would never happen. But let's say somehow he did and came back and thought he could be a big time push. It would never look like this as far as
Mm-mm.
the whole way Cody. They would have to make him Rusev again. They wouldn't let him be Miro and swag out and wear
God's
the
favorite champion.
exactly wear the $500 t-shirts and all that shit. No, that's not happening. Grow your hair back out and talk like you're a Bulgarian, please. And
Uh-huh.
that's all we're gonna see you as. So for Cody to go in there and control his narrative, I'm gonna keep on doing that. That company's so ridiculous, and we need to pull a segment to talk about how ridiculous that company is one day. I want to say that for the fellas though, for all the fellas. Yeah, for him to do that is something special, Doug.
It is.
Gotta love it.
I love the new intro.
Yes, I do too. I
Oh,
love it. It
for,
doesn't. Why does it always seem like he has to walk down? Like you notice that this is WrestleMania
oh,
and the
it's just how
Raws.
they're holding the camera.
Oh, okay,
It's
got you.
just how they're holding the camera. But
Magical
yeah,
touch.
like
Got me.
the rising out of the floor. I mean, it's okay, but just for the pyro to hit and then boom, he's there. It looks cooler on television.
Facts. It
I,
probably doesn't look that cool live.
I was gonna say when you're there, you can see him standing there, probably in the smoke, and then the
Yep.
pyro hits and you can see him fully. But on TV, it looks great.
Yep. And Vince cares more about that than how shit looks live. More people watch
Absolutely,
it at home than in the seat that already paid
absolutely.
for it. So no,
Um,
I'm all for it.
yeah, and then he comes out, has a great segment with the Miz, who the IWC was just hating on the Miz,
The,
and I don't get it, BA.
let's get into it. I'm glad you brought that up, though. We haven't really talked about this just in our offline chats.
Okay,
But
all All right.
Miz gets a lot of disrespect in the IWC because of how he got to where he's at. I think it's because he's a WWE guy through and through. He's never
A
been
lifer.
anywhere else. Yes, and this goes back to the talking smack when Bryan Danielson was still Daniel Bryan and doing the GM thing, and he called him out. He said, "You wrestle like a pussy, you wrestle like a bitch, or something like that." And no, he
No,
didn't say it like
coward.
that. He
Coward.
said,
He said
"Yes,
coward.
coward. You wrestle like a coward." And from that moment on, man, I think that's kind of what exposed him because Miz got some cred in like the early 2010s and
Mm-hmm.
20, like dude had some. He headlined a WrestleMania a couple times. Like you can't be a schmuck and do that. They
Yeah.
wouldn't just throw anybody on that card with John Cena to lose. And I think he won a match. Didn't he beat Cena at one of the WrestleManias?
That was the WrestleMania where Rock came out and Rock bottom Cena for Miz
That's
to
what it
take the
was. Yeah,
victory
heel
for
fashion.
you to get the Rock Cenas. Yeah.
Got you, got you. So he got at least that pub, but like I said, I think just the IWC doesn't see him in the same light as our other favorites, like a MJF. As we're gonna keep it heel to heel, um, he'll never get that type of clout unless he goes and kind of takes a risk. Miz is always just the flagship guy for WWE. Anytime they got to throw somebody out there, if it ain't Titus O'Neil, it's the Miz that's doing that interview. Like,
Worldwide.
I low key miss that sometimes. But
Oh man.
yeah, I think that's why Miz doesn't get his respect, man. He ain't gonna get his flowers until he literally is in the Hall of Fame and done. But what are your thoughts on that?
Two-time Grand Slam champion,
Facts.
WrestleMania main eventer, made the IWC, made not the IWC, the Intercontinental title
Yes, took it right out my mouth.
very meaningful. Those
I was gonna
matches with
ask that too.
Ziggler, boy,
Yeah. Yes.
boy,
Crazy.
those were great.
I wasn't even. I was barely watching wrestling at that time, but I remember catching those matches. I remember seeing them.
Yeah. Um, Goes home to Maurice every night. Like, I
Yeah.
think with Miz, it's just hater syndrome because since that man has been like 19 years old, every single check he has cashed has had either MTV Viacom on it or World Wrestling Entertainment on
Facts.
it.
Facts,
At
man.
this point, it's just haters. Like, this guy's
Yeah.
he's living his dream. He's main eventing. He's the top guy in his company. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like, and he's just been good for so long. Has he ever been great in the ring? Not necessarily, but he's good enough. And he goes out there and he does his job and he does it well. Like you can
Mm-hmm.
say, like, oh, Cody's first match back on WWE's with the Miz doesn't look good for him. You know whose first match on WWE was against the Miz? AJ Styles.
Mm.
And yes, pretty good run, right? Pretty good run for that
Absolutely.
guy.
And it's just because they trust him.
Yeah.
They trust the Miz to go out there and make those guys look good because he's like, even though last week I called him a throwaway heel, which is true. That means they throw him out there whenever they need somebody to get some cheap heat real quick. Miz gonna piss some people off, but at the same token, I kind of have a homer because I'm Cleveland
Yeah.
and Miz being from here. Like I know people that know Miz in Cleveland and Dolph. And those dudes kind of get a pass with me no matter what for those reasons. But to kind of take the nepotism out of it from the Cleveland standpoint and look at it from just somebody just watching this from anywhere and seeing the Miz, I think that it's just more of a hater type of thing. Like, yes, it's easy to hate on the Miz. I mean, look at him. The dude's been on TV for the last 20 years when you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, his wife is bad. He's got a reality TV show. He's got like 3 or 4 houses. He could quit today and be cool. And and the fact that he doesn't like do anything crazy in the ring necessarily, like kind of like work not harder but stiffer as far as like doing crazier stuff. That's where the IWC respects people
You
and
know what
more.
it is, and I just thought about it, B.
What's that?
He's good at his job and he's extremely successful at his job. When the IWC sees him, they say there's way more guys that are better at the job but not as successful.
Right, but Miz knows how to play the game though because he's been in the
Right,
game for decades.
right. But they look at it from like an aspect of like a Jungle Boy or Kyle O'Reilly or Owens before he got there. Like
Mm,
you can quantifiably look at those guys and say in the ring, those guys are better. And in
mm.
Owens' case, on the mic too, but they're not as successful, and they don't like this guy because of that. I mean, and it's just all hater shit to me. I love Miz.
Same. I respect him what he does. Like I always I listen to Cornette's clips all the time, and he loves like ragging on the Miz. Like he calls him a frog. And because it just goes to this, and it just goes to my earlier point. It's just because he's a WWE guy. He
Mm-hmm.
learned how to work safe, and he's worried about his career when he's in the ring. He's not worried about putting on a 5-star match for Dave Meltzer.
Which
He's
he's
trying
had,
to
which he's had a couple.
exactly. He's worried about the next one, and am I gonna still be able to cash a check? And I don't gotta go back to doing hosting real world reunions, and that's it. Like the dude wants to keep this going as long as possible.
Yep.
And he's a fan. At the end of the day, he's just doing what he loves. So that's another reason why people hate. Like at the end of the day, that you saw this guy, he called his shot on the real world, and he's doing what he said he was gonna do. And that episode of Evil on the WWE documentary, um, I highly recommend our haters in the IWC to go check that out, man. You'll get a different viewpoint into the Miz and his psyche. I think there's a lot of stuff I did because like I said, I stopped watching wrestling for a nice chunk of his come up,
Mm-hmm.
and there were a lot of things I didn't know that happened. I remember when he was the host and doing the Miz TV shit originally, but I didn't know about all the stuff that was going on in the locker room with him.
Yeah,
So
I was slowly coming back in around the time he main evented Mania with Cena,
mhm,
so I didn't know about a lot of that stuff too until you watch all the behind the scenes shit. But
yeah,
cause I remember when I was coming back into it, I'm like, wait, Miz is headlining WrestleMania. I'm like, what
you got to see
happened?
that shit. He was like, I'm seeing this.
Yeah, I'm like last I saw, he was in a tag team with John Morrison, and like they did the thing with the slow motion, and Melina was there. I'm like,
Right.
I'm like, it was a cool tag team, but I'm like, that guys were headlining WrestleMania, and
Yep.
it wasn't even hater shit. Miss, huge fan over here, huge fan.
Yeah. It's just
Although
shocking to see him in that spot.
yeah, although you said that shit about the Lions on Detroit on Monday, and I was ready to jump through that TV. So you did your job. You got heat out of me because I wasn't really paying attention to this interview, but I looked up. I said, "Motherfucker."
He got
I
heat
was,
out of
I
Cleveland.
was
He's
ready to
from
go.
here. That
I
man was
was
shitting
ready
on
to
his own
go.
city. The build up to WrestleMania, he was in Cleveland on Raw, shitting on Cleveland.
Yeah,
And
but
and I had to stop my wife from jumping through the TV. I'm like, hey, he's playing a character. Chill. It's still the
I was
man.
ready to go. I'm like,
I
I'm like, it'll take me an hour to get to Little Caesars. I'm like, I know where the back entrance is.
right.
This gonna have to see me.
He gonna catch a different kind of hot and ready. Five nothing special.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
but
in that interview, I thought it was a great back and forth between him and Cody. I love Miz correcting Cody with the WWE specific lingo.
that
Like
was
it's
cute.
called a title. A belt holds up your pants. I was like, yo, Vince actually says that to people. I
Yes,
love it. I love
yes,
it, and I know that was planned. And then when
yes.
Cody called them wrestlers, Miz called them superstars. I was like, oh, this is
Dude,
good
you
shit.
bring. I gotta pause you right there, Dub, because you're
Yep.
bringing up a point. Them talking through this. This is Cody telling Vince this is how they think at AEW. They want to be anti-sports entertainer. So
Oh yeah.
treat me, all my guys I talk to, treat me like I have no idea what it's like to be at WWE. You know, Cody knows the rules.
No, no, no.
He's
He's telling Vince to say, treat me like I left sports entertainment to be a wrestler, and now I'm bringing
mhm,
this wrestler stuff back.
absolutely, yeah. That's what I
Yeah,
should have
because Cody is
framed
a
it.
sports
But I'm
entertainer to his core. That is him.
absolutely, absolutely, man. 100%. So yes, and I love that he keep like I said last week, he wants to be the best wrestler in the world, not the best sports entertainer. So I can't wait to see that come to a head. But I'm here for the Cody stuff, man, to bring it all full circle.
Yeah,
I love it.
it's so funny to me that he played that up of like I want to be the best wrestler, and it was like, oh, we're superstars here, and like Cody in actuality is one of the best sports entertainers in the world.
Facts. And he's doing a
It's just
lot of
great.
sports entertaining right now.
Yeah. How'd you feel about the match? I thought the match was good. Nothing crazy.
It's
Cody
solid. It
gets
gave
over.
Yeah, it did what it was supposed to do, and then Seth comes out, laughs, and does his whole little dance at the top of the aisle, and
Hmm.
we got a match. We got our WrestleMania Backlash match. So everything's happened as planned. It'll be interesting what happens